Hello, welcome to the channel. Today I'll present to you a Python-based desktop graphical user interface application that I developed specifically for a cocoa buyer. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll walk through the application and I'll show you the advantages that it has and how we can prevent theft and provides transparency with a better secure data management and role-based access for managers and tellers or salesperson. Okay, so this application was developed specifically for a cocoa buyer. What you see here is tailored to his business, but it can also be adapted for other businesses, small agricultural or cooperatives who are looking forward to digitalize their records, and also for anyone looking for a free offline sales management solution, or even small agricultural business needing simple sales tracking. We have a tracking. You can see the tracking here with the visuals, visualization charts that provides more transparency in your transaction or in your records. So yeah, I've logged in as an administrator. So if I log out from the application itself, then I'm going to log in again as an administrator. Then I'll log out and then I'll log in again as a salesperson. Then you see the difference in the access in terms of limitations of the application with respect to the salesperson and the administrator or the manager or the owner of the business or the cocoa buyer himself. So if I log out, so now I'm going to log in now as an administrator. Right, so it goes back to what we started with. These are default records. I entered these records myself. So what you have here, these buttons here, we have an export to Excel. So it means that you can export this data, the sales data to Excel, Excel sheet saved in your computer. You can show week charts. You can enter the date here and you click show week chart. You click show week charts. It will just show you the week that you've chosen, and then you can change Excel file. So which means that what happens when you open the application, it creates two Excel files, one for the salesperson and one for the manager. It creates in a folder that you will specify in the application. So if this application is going to be adapted for your business, then you'll be able to have files that will be created automatically by the application, not yourself. And once you get the application, what you do, you just click to change Excel file. You choose the area where you want your files to be saved, and then it will automatically take you to every transaction will be recorded on those spreadsheets. So if I go to this one, open Excel folder. So this is the default Excel folder that got created when I developed the application, and then it will take you to the salesperson sheet and to the manager sheet. So if I click open folder, you can see these are the files that gets created automatically. So here we have 7 records, okay, and that same record matches what we have in manager's spreadsheet. So when a salesperson or teller makes a transaction, that same transaction is saved in the salesperson sheet and the manager sheet. If the salesperson deletes a transaction from his sheet, that same transaction gets deleted from the salesperson sheet, but not from the manager spreadsheet. Okay, in that way, the manager will be able to track any transaction that has been deleted as a result of theft. Okay, so if I click salesperson, sales, you can see that there are some records here. Okay, this sheet is not password protected, so you can see every transaction that we have on that table is actually in the application. Every transaction we have on that application, we have it here in the spreadsheet. Okay, so if I close that and I go to the manager's sheet, you see that this one is password protected. So the manager has to log in into the Excel sheet to be able to edit the data within it. So if I click on protect, and then we click expand this, we can see that there is same data is being populated here in the manager spreadsheet. And then pay attention to this, is deleted. So this is deleted. It switches has two values. It's like an on and off switch. You have 0 if nothing is deleted and 1 if something gets deleted. So if the salesperson, like I said earlier, deletes a transaction from his records of within the application, it will be deleted from the salesperson spreadsheet, but it will not be deleted from the manager spreadsheet. Or what it will do, this value will change from 0 to 1 to so that a record has been deleted. All records that will be deleted by the salesperson as a result of theft will be reflected here on the manager's spreadsheet, but the salesperson will not be able to see those deleted records on his spreadsheet. Okay, so I'll close this one again. Now let's move back to the application. So this is a table. You can see everything, your telephone number. These are default. This is just default data that I've populated myself. So I'm going to log out. So you can see what I want you to pay attention to. You have restore, deleted, reconcile, and the reconcile button. The reconcile button, what happens when at the end of the week, the manager wants to reconcile the records, or at the end of the month, he will import. He will click the reconcile button. If I click reconcile, so he will open this, and then what the message here says, the teller's file matches the master record exactly. Okay, so when we will be operating, when we will be using this application, we'll delete a record. I'll just log as an administrator because I need to show all the functionalities of the tool. And then I'll delete a record, and I'll act as administrator at the same time, acting as a salesperson. I'll delete a record, and then you see how that record gets reflected in the manager's record. Okay, so click this one away. So you have real-time charts here again that shows you, that reflects the data that we have here on the sales data. You have an audit trail which shows you every transaction that carries that every transaction that takes place. It records everything with respect to users who log in and what transaction or what sales record has been deleted. It will show you, or what has any changes that takes place within the application. It will be reflected in the audit trail. Okay, this is an audit log. This audit log also gets, again, if we go back to open Excel folder, this is the same audit log. This is the audit log that gets again created here in the folder where you have the manager, sales, and the salesperson. Like I said, this folder gets automatically created within your system. Depends on where you want it to be specified by using the change Excel file. And you have manage users, which again you can add new users. You can delete and add new users. Yeah, so if I expand this, you can delete. So you can move it like this. You can delete. You can add a new user. You can delete it all. If you want to delete, you just select this and say delete user. Yes, you delete. If you want to add a new user, you just do, let's say, Joe. So again, you can add Joe as appear here, so you can edit again. Password entry. So if you want to edit the user, you need to enter the name of the user and then you enter the password. Okay, so if we go here, I'm going to say John. I want to, if you double click John and then you want to change maybe the password of John, you can say so when you click add user, it will tell you John already exists. So when you click edit user, again, the password has been updated successfully. So that's what actually happens here. With, you can delete a user, you can add a new user, you can add another user. So if we say we click add user, we can see that. So all these persons that you add, they can log into the application, but they'll have limited rights. They will not have the same rights as the administrator. This is administrator here. Okay, so you can easily add new users and remove users if you're tired of a particular user who does not really provide transparent records and want to remove that user from your business, or you want to sack the user from a business, then you can do that easily, and then you add a new user. So that's the use of the user management window. And then we have, I've showed you, there's a clear data. You can click this. It will ask you, this will permanently delete all sales records. Are you sure you want to do that? No, I don't want to delete any sales record. So click no. Then there's also a print receipt. If I click print, you can see this is populated with the total records for that particular sale. That unique ID number, record number here is also being reflected on your receipt. It's copied here, and then you can see the total, the total transaction. It's a multi-currency application. So we can go here and change the currency. Let's say Kenya shillings. Okay, so you see that this chart gets updated the moment we change the currency. And if we come here and we want to print receipt, you can see that has also been updated to Kenya shillings. Okay, we can change to Nigerian naira. Again, you can see the charts again have been updated. Then if you click any row and you click print receipt, you can see that this has been updated. Okay, so this is how the application actually works. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a sales record. But before doing that, I will show you there's an option of filtering by sales in ascending or descending order by total bags. We say total bags, filter in ascending order. You can see how this gets the total bags in ascending order. You can see it. Filter in descending order. So it goes from low to highest. So, and then again here you have all. If you filter one of these here, it's just going to take this all this application away, the whole data away. If I click this, you can see that again it's filtered by humidity. But if you want to get back to the same data, you just click all. Okay, and you have all the data is actually been it stays there in the records. You can also click and edit. If you want to edit, you can do edit by doing that, or you double click on each line. Let's see this one. Once you double click, you see that the data gets populated here. If I change the total bags here to 45, and I say that here there was no humidity, or bags with humidity there was 0, and the humidity was 2.3, but the cocoa, the farmer never had any humidity in his bags, so the humidity there is 0. So if I click, so once I've changed the bags, you need to first of all hit the calculate button. Okay, so because once you change the bags, then the total amount is going to change as well. So if I click calculate, this figure gets updated, and I click submit. So it gets submitted. Okay, so if I double click on this and I click submit, it's going to prompt you to calculate the total amount. So if I click submit, you see invalid total amount valid. So each time you edit, make sure you always hit the calculate amount button. Okay, if you've not edited anything with respect to the calculations, the fields that are involved in the calculations, such as total bags with humidity, weight with humidity, and the cost and excess weight and weight without, then that figure is just going to stay the same. Okay, whatever figure you do is going to override what was already there. So because we've not changed we've not updated any figure within the tool, then I'm just going to click calculate amount. It's the same amount, and I click submit. Same amount that was there, so nothing has changed. So always make sure that each time you edit, you always click the amount, calculate the amount, and then before you hit submit button. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to add add a farmer has come to make sales. I'm going to add a transaction or a record. So let's say 1st of July. Okay, customer name, let's put RW. These are just, I mean, like I said, dummy data. It doesn't really matter what you input into the application or input into the tables. So total bags, it comes with 67 bags. Bags with humidity, the cocoa buyer will take these bags and they will measure them, right? And then he will get the bags with humidity, and then the weight due to humidity will be calculated and then subtracted, and then he will discuss with the farmer what percentage or what amount he will be able to pay for the weight, the excess weight that is being subtracted. Okay, there's also a default weight per bag of cocoa or per bag of coffee or per bag of whatever you're coming to. As long as it's something that you're selling that is being weighed, then this application, like I said earlier, is going to be very useful for you. So there's a default weight of 60 kilograms. So each time when you enter the total bags, that number gets multiplied by 60 and it gives you the total weight without humidity. So it gives you the total weight without humidity. Once you enter the humidity, if there's any, if you've measured and there's any humidity, there's some humidity within the bags of the farmer, then you can enter that. Then that figure again gets recalculated as well. So let's say the bags with humidity, there are just 7 of them. You can see the weight with humidity is 120. So you have 7 multiplied by 60. Now when we enter the humidity, let's say the humidity is 11.1, 0.2 for example, and then we hit our unit price. You see how the figures get updated. So you see the excess weight due to humidity. So if we change the humidity, let's say 13, we can see the excess weight due to humidity has gone down to 50, has gone up to 54.6. And if we say our unit price, we are using Nigerian Naira, let's say it's 2,500 Naira. Unit price means the price per kilogram of cocoa. Okay, and then we hit calculate amount. That's the total amount that the cocoa buyer is going to pay the farmer. And then we enter the telephone number of the customer or the farmer. So just enter any default figure there, and then we hit submit. We can see that figure gets submitted here. And again, the chart also gets updated, right? So this is what happens when a farmer comes to sell some produce. We can edit, we can print a receipt for the farmer. All we do is select this and we hit print receipt. I'm using 2 screens, so I have to pull this over. So you can see that this is the total. This is the total here, 9,913,500 Naira, Nigerian Naira. You can print this receipt, you can save, you can copy, you can do whatever you want. The options are here, the buttons are here for you to action anything that you want to do with the receipt. So, but this is a receipt that you print and give to the farmer if need be. And I'll close this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, so if we go back to, if we open a folder, let's see how this record gets reflected in the spreadsheets. So if we open folder, we're going to have 8 records now. So go to the salesperson spreadsheet. Go to the salesperson spreadsheet. We can see we have 8 records. This is the last record that we entered. Okay, where the humidity got up to 15.6. This one is not password protected, so we can expand it. You can format this amount to. You can format this depending on the currency in your region as well. So these are the transactions that gets populated on the spreadsheet for the salesperson. Okay, these same transactions, we'll have them here on the manager spreadsheet. So if we open the manager spreadsheet, if we go back to the same folder, manager spreadsheet, so if you look at it here, if I take this up like this, and this is a manual spreadsheet. We just put it at the bottom here. We can see that every transaction here on the salesperson spreadsheet is also reflected on the manual spreadsheet. So whatever changes the salesperson makes within the tool or within the application is going to be reflected here. Okay, so click this, I close all of this and save. If we go to audit trail, we can see our audit trail. Every transaction that gets every transaction or every action that takes place within the application is reflected in the audit trail. I showed this earlier. Okay, if we click the reconcile button, we've added a transaction. So let's see. So the teller's file matches the master record exactly. Okay, we can also track top 5 customers within a week. So let's track the top 5 customers within the month of July. Okay, let's say the first week of July. So we have 01. You look at the date format that you need to enter. It has to be the day, the month, and the year. And the month has to have 3 letters, and the year will have 4 digits. So I have 2026. And if we hit show week, you can see it here. You can also hit this other button here as well. Okay, you can see that these are your top 5 customers within the first week of July. That's week 27. Okay, and we can also do that the first week of June. So what we do, June. Oh, so you see that there's an error because of the date format, the way you've entered the date format. So the charts get disappeared because you've entered the date format wrongly. So you can see that the charts are back again. So in June we have 3 customers who made 3 customers who made sales within the month of June. So you can see that the top customer made 37.75 million naira, and then the customer name is KR. Okay, so this is the name of the customer. Here you can see our top customers where you can make some promotions, you can offer them some incentives, you can give them some discounts in order to make sure that they always supply their cocoa produce to you. Okay, so you can edit. Like I said, you can edit. We've already edited. You can clear, you can delete. So if we delete the record, I'm going to delete the record as a salesperson and not as an administrator. Okay, so if I log out here, and I'll log in again as a salesperson, log out. So I'm going to log in as a salesperson. So you can see that this is the salesperson has rights to do whatever he wants to do, but he cannot reconcile the records from the manager's files and from his file, or from the salesperson's records, or salesperson's file. So let's add a record. Let's say we're the salesperson. So let's try to add a record. So we're adding, let's say, July 3rd, and let's put a default customer name WRO. Okay, so the format comes with let's say 45 bags with humidity. It's not always all the time that you have bags with humidity. There may be times that you don't have bags with humidity. So if bags with humidity is 0, all the 45 bags are dried, and the cocoa buyer's weight has measured the humidity within each bag, and everything is dried. So the bags with humidity is 0. So the farmer is just going to sell his cocoa produced to the buyer straight away. Humidity is 0 within the bags, and then we can calculate the total price. Let's say it's 4,500 or 450 Nigerian naira per kilogram. So calculate the total amount. You can see it gets here, and they have 011 telephone number, submit. So that's the transaction of the salesperson. So I'm acting now as a salesperson. You can see here, salesperson limited view access. So let's delete a record. Okay, if we delete a record, let's say we're deleting KR. Delete. So we now have 8 records. We had 9 records before. We can do what we call restore deleted. So if we do restore deleted, it's not possible. It's not, we cannot reconcile. It's not possible. So we cannot restore what we've deleted. So if we make sales and we feel that, oh, we're not going to provide all the records to the manager, we'll delete the record. And then we know that we are good to go. We've stolen some amount of we've stolen some amount or some bags of cocoa, and the manager will not be able to recognize that. So what the manager does is when he comes in and logs in, he's going to compare our spreadsheet and his spreadsheet and see if there are any discrepancies. Okay. You can do the restore delete. You can do, there's an undo here, but the undo here is not going to. If I do undo, yeah, you can undo. You can bring back that same record. Okay, but if you're deleting the record, okay, it's not going to be reflected in your sheet, but it's going to be reflected in the manager sheet. And then redo again, that same record is going to go away. So if we look at the last sales, if we look at what we've done, undo. So the undo here is not with respect to, the record has been deleted. Okay, so we're deleting this. So if we did SRO, delete 8 records, undo, SRO gets proper. So undo again works the same as restore deleted, but in this case you've deleted. If you've deleted something, then there's no way you're going to restore it. Okay, so if we log out and let's go to admin, and let's see if there's any, because of undo, so that we will expect the records to match exactly. So let's do the reconcile. Tellers 5 matches record exactly. So because we've restored that transaction, or we've undo that transaction that we deleted, then the tellers file is going to match that of the manager's record. But the difference here is, if you delete a record as a teller or as a salesperson, you don't want the manager to see it. So he's going to see that in his transaction, that in his spreadsheet, that you've deleted a record. So if I say okay, again, the undo and the redo here is the same as the restore deleted. So these are the two options. But the limitation that you have as a salesperson, once you delete a record and you undo it, then you must make sure that you put that amount that you've deleted, so that it can match the manager's spreadsheet. But since you're stealing, you will delete a record, you never undo it. Okay, so the undo again helps when you are actually doing a sales and you made a mistake and you want to undo it, that sales, and then make some updates with respect to the transaction that you correcting. Or maybe if you want to steal, and then after a while your mind changes that, oh, it's not good for me to steal, then let me undo the records and then provide the same spreadsheet that I had with the manager, so that the records will match. Then you can use that functionality. That's where that functionality is actually very, very useful. But if again you change your mind, oh, I want to actually delete it, then you do the redo. The redo will just take that transaction away from the records. Okay. So I've logged in now as an administrator, and I've reconciled the records. They all match. So I'm going to go back again and log in again as a teller, and then delete a record, and then use the reconcile file, and then you see the discrepancies that is actually that has taken place. So if you go to the audit trail and see what has happened, we can see that there is, if we go here, So reconcile, you see, these are the things that I've actually taken. Undo, delete records, undo, redo. Everything here is recorded. Undo, batch delete of one record, redo, batch delete of one record. So the manager again will come again and still have access to the audit trail. This is also a backup for the manager to see that these are the transactions that has actually taken place in his absence. So he will be able to question the salesperson. Why did you delete this record? Show me this record that you deleted. Show me this record that you undo. Why were you undoing? Why did you undo? And why did you redo? And why did you delete records? The salesperson will be able to respond. So this is the uniqueness of the application. Okay, so I'm going to log out and log in as a salesperson. Okay, so I'm going to delete this record, or let's delete the first record. Delete is deleted. Okay, let's log out again as a salesperson with limited access, and then I'll log in again as an administrator. So without that, I can go easily here to make life much easier. Let's open the folder. So that's the manager sales. We can see that there's a record that has been deleted. This is a record that was deleted, GB. You can see it here. Is deleted one. So if I open a salesperson spreadsheet, you will not see this record. All of this here, this column is not even present. So we have 9 records in the manager sales. And then if I go to this other one, we have 8 records. Yeah, so he has deleted one of them, and it's been reflected in the manager spreadsheet, but it's not reflected in the sheet. Okay, so if we close this, I'll use, so he has done that. So if we log out again, and I'm the manager, I've come to check the records. I come back to check my records. I can just use the reconcile, and I click my sales. You can easily see this is discrepancy found, 1 record. Okay, in the teller's record, he knows that there's nothing that's actually missing, but the manager actually said there's something that's actually missing in the teller's report, which is this 1 record that is deleted. So this is the beauty of the application. This is the uniqueness of this application, where there's a greater level of transparency that's actually been offered for the cocoa buyer. He'll be able to monitor his daily transaction or weekly transactions, and in this way he'll be able to make more money, because the teller or the salesperson will be able to make any fraudulent activities within the tool. If you feel that this is useful for your business, let me know. If you want to add more functionalities, please you can contact me. You have my email at the bottom of this page. If you like what I do, please make a comment and subscribe. If there's anything more or anything that you don't find it useful, please send an email to me, and I'll be able to adapt it and adapt the application with respect to your needs. Okay, thank you for listening. Subscribe to the channel, and subsequent videos will be coming up.